Hi folks, welcome to your Planning Outlook. This updated on Friday the 13th of November. The unlucky thing is that the weekend is looking pretty atrocious for many places. It's a story of a series of weather systems coming through, some heavy rain, some upland gales, cold enough for some snow on the mountains by Sunday. The general outlook stays very unsettled into next week, with the theme coming around to being generally colder as we go through the second half of the week, with sub-zero conditions on the mountains for a more sustained period. Before we get to that, a lot of rainfall to come across the Western Mountains in particular, a good 2-3 inches of rain, 50 to 75 mil, and maybe some spots over 100 mil on the most windward mountains of Western Scotland and possibly West Wales as well. Always in this sort of situation, the lower rainfall totals focused further east and northeast. A real tangle of weather systems coming in from the Atlantic as we go into Saturday then, with areas of rain on and off at best, persistent at worst, and some heavy and prolonged falls coming in, especially across Wales, increasingly advancing into the lakes and Pennines. Across Scotland, the most steady rain across central, southern parts of the Highlands. The further north you go, actually, you might find a largely dry day across parts of Sutherland and areas just to the north of the Cairngorms, and maybe a bit of a lull in the strongest winds here, but they will strengthen from the south to gale or severe gale force across the mountains. The very strongest winds focused across Wales, where severe gales on the mountains are likely for a good part of the day. Still, various weather systems passing eastwards as we go onwards into Sunday. Some further heavy falls of rain, and that more turning to snow across the mountains as chillier air cuts in from the west. So that bringing the freezing level down to around 1,000 metres, or maybe temporarily lower, where some of that rain and upland snow does set in for a time. So beware of whiteout conditions across the highest tops in Scotland at least. Strongest of the winds focused on England and Wales. Again, severe gale force quite possibly focused across mid and south Wales as the squeeze of the isobars just comes in from the south of Ireland. There might be a little secondary centre of low pressure form here that just peps that up a little bit more. Lighter winds across the Highlands, bit of a lull in between weather systems. Watch for things being rather squally and gusty around the front though, as that zone of rain and upland snow pushes northwards. Again, the far north maybe just escaping the driest for the longest. A somewhat more straightforward chart to start the new week. A brisk westerly pattern, again gale force winds across many mountains, looking strongest across the north of Scotland by this stage. We've still got some showers in the forecast, but those just fading out for a time, with some cloud breaks to higher slopes, best of those towards the east, before the next weather system comes in from the Atlantic behind this warm front, which will likely spread into many western regions before we get to the end of Monday daytime. Just watch your timing for that one, but expect things to start going downhill again from the west. Temperatures remain on the chilly side for Monday, but as that warm front does move in, they'll rise considerably even onwards into Monday night. A textbook-looking weather system then into Tuesday, with a broad warm sector across most of Britain, the warm front having gone northeastwards, mild air across most places. A lot of low cloud clagging in across those western hills with some rain and some drizzle, and then just depending on the timing, the cold front moving in to intensify the rainfall heavier once again as Tuesday daytime goes on. A windy day for all, a southwesterly that will be gale or severe gale force, and that producing some powerful gusts even in places to the lee of the highest ground towards, say, the northeast of the Pennines and around the Cairngorms through Tuesday. Chillier air moves in from the west, so expect the freezing level to drop as we go towards the end of Tuesday into Tuesday night, with showers following that will have some snow once again on the higher mountains. And that puts us in a much colder pattern on Wednesday, a colder westerly airflow in, still very windy. You can see that with the isobars staying close together, likely to be gale or severe gale force across many mountains once again. And we've got a rash of showers coming in off the Atlantic, sometimes those really much just one after another, almost constant across western mountains in Scotland. Some snow and some hail coming down at times to lower slopes, with the air much colder by this stage. And the best of the brightest, driest conditions to be found the further east that you go, but most places are likely to see some of those snow and hail showers through the day. Now, although things are not completely set in stone in the computer models at this stage, the thinking is that as we go into the second half of the week that those colder air masses do dominate as we just import the air a bit more typically from the north and the northwest coming around to us from Greenland and Iceland by this stage. So it may well be that sub-zero conditions across the mountains prevail in the later part of the week. Some further showers of snow and hail coming down from the northwest. Little centres of low pressure still spinning up over the Atlantic, but these tending to drift a little bit further southwards, so never quite pushing their milder air in across the country as they are doing in the shorter term. So that gives the chance for some snowfalls across the mountains, maybe just mostly rain at low levels with this system coming through, say around Friday. Much to play for in that detail. But once that goes through, it still seems to be a prevailing northwesterly airflow that is around towards next weekend. All quite complicated by then, but read between the lines and the general story looks a chillier one. Scope for something a bit more wintry then by this time next week. We'll see how that develops and keep you right up to date. Thanks for watching today. Bye for now.